Now in this video, I'm just gonna basically focus on multiplying complex numbers, also their conjugates, and also adding or subtracting complex numbers, and also their conjugates. I'm just gonna focus on that. We can also subtract them. Z1 minus Z2, also find their conjugates when subtracting. Now, you can also divide complex numbers. You'll have Z1 over Z2, and you can also divide their conjugates like this. This just implies that you're taking the conjugate of the whole thing. But now, if you have something like this, Z2, and you have a conjugate, this is not the same as this. This just means Z1 divided by Z2 conjugate, and this one just means divide the conjugate of this by the conjugate of that. So now I'm just gonna focus on this. Now let's say we have Z1 equals 2 minus 3i, and we have Z2 equals 4 plus 6i. Now Z1 multiplied by Z2, you're just gonna have Z1 is 2 minus 3i. Multiply that by 4 plus 6i. So now you just multiply 2 multiplied by 4, that's gonna be 8, and 2 multiplied by 6i, that's just gonna be 12i, and minus 3 multiplied by 4, that's just gonna be minus 12i, and then minus 3i multiplied by 6i, minus 3 multiplied by 6 is gonna be minus 18, and I multiplied by I will just be I multiplied by I, it's gonna be I squared. So now notice that these two terms will cancel each other, right? And now I squared is equals to minus 1, right? So you have 8 minus 18 multiplied by minus 1. So negative and negative will give you positive. So that's the same as you're just gonna have 8 plus 18. And when you do that, you're gonna have 26. So that means that when you multiply Z1 and Z2, you're gonna have 26, right? You're going to have 26. Okay. Now, what about when you have the conjugate, when you multiply the conjugate? So now, that means that you take the conjugate of Z1, everything stays the same, but you just change the sign. Here it was negative and I put positive. And now Z2 conjugate will be 4 minus 6i, because here it was positive, and now the conjugate will have minus then. Now 2 multiplied by 4, that's going to be 8, and 2 multiplied by negative 6 is going to be minus 12i, and 3 multiplied by 4, that's just going to be positive 12i, and 3 multiplied by minus 6 is just going to be minus 18, and I by I is just going to be I squared. So now notice that even in this one the terms cancel, and it's not necessarily that they will cancel all the time. Notice that I'm just applying the math rules here. It's this one plus this one. It gives me 0. There's nothing I can do there. But it's not always the case where these terms will cancel, okay? Don't make that mistake where you say, in King of Logs videos, they cancel, so in mine they should cancel too. No, it's not like that. Just apply the math rules. You should be fine. Okay. Now, you'll have 8 minus 18, and my I squared is just going to be minus 1. Then even in this one, you're just going to have this will be equals to 26 as well. It's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. Not always this and this. It's not always the case where they'll give you the same answer. So be careful. As long as you apply the correct methods, then you should be fine. Now let's say that we are adding these complex numbers: 2 minus 3i plus 4. Let me just group them. 2 minus 3i, that's Z1, and then Z2 is the same as 4 plus 6i. Now you'll remove the bracket and say 2 minus 3i plus 4 plus 6i. Now you just group the like terms now. 2 and 4 are like terms, so 2 plus 4, that's going to be 6. and minus 3i and 6i are like terms. So minus 3i plus 6i, that's just going to be positive 3i. So that's when you add these ones. Now, what about when you add the conjugates of them? What about when you add the conjugates of them? So when you add the conjugates of them, it's just going to have 2 plus 3i. Remember, the conjugate just means swap the middle side, 4 minus 6i. So you're going to have 2 plus 3i plus 4 minus 6i. So 2 plus 4, that's just going to be 6. And then 3i minus 6i, that's just going to be minus 3i. Notice that you're just going to have the conjugate of this. You see that? The conjugate of this is the conjugate of this. So right, now let's proceed now. Let's say you're finding the difference between them. So you have 2 minus 3i is z1 minus z2, which is 4 minus z plus, right? Plus 6i. So you're going to have 2 minus 3i. Then you distribute the negative here. So you'll have minus 4. Then you'll have minus 6i. So now you're going to have 2 minus 4, you get minus 2. And then you'll have minus 3i, minus 6i, then you have minus 9i. Minus 9i. Right? Okay, and then you have the conjugates of them. You're finding the difference of the conjugates. Then you have 2 plus 3i. 2 plus 3i. Remember, z1 is this one. Then the conjugate will be positive in between. 2 plus 3i minus 4 minus 6i. Okay. Now you'll have, you distribute plus 3i, then you distribute the negative here. You'll have minus 4 plus 6i. And then you'll have 2 plus 2 minus 4, which you're going to have minus 2. And 3i plus 6i, you're going to have plus 9i. Notice that it's the same as the conjugate of that. It's just the conjugate of that. So when you have a difference like this, or a sum, I'll explain that a bit later in the video. Okay, so right now you have this following information. Bear with me here. Ne? Okay, now what about z1 divided by z2? Let me just cover that in the next page, because like it might be confusing. Z1 divided by z2. Remember, z1 is 2 minus 3i. So you have 2 minus 3i. And then z2 is 4 plus 6i. 4 plus 6i there. Now, what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to multiply by the conjugate of 6i. I'm going to multiply by the conjugate of the denominator, 4 minus 6i. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because I want to get rid of the imaginary part in the denominator. That's the whole point. The reason I multiply by the conjugate of this is I want to remove the imaginary part in the denominator, right? So now I have 2 minus 3i multiplied by this. We can multiply, right? So you'll have 2 multiplied by 4, that's 8. 2 multiplied by minus 6i, that's just going to be minus 12i. And minus 3 multiplied by 4, that's going to be minus 12i. And then minus 3i multiplied by minus 6i, minus and minus will be positive, and you'll have 18i squared. Now you divide that by this 4 times 4, that's 16. And then you'll have 4 multiplied by minus 6i. 4 by minus 6 is going to be minus 24i. And then 6 times 4, that's going to be positive 24i. And then 6i by negative 6i, that's just going to be minus 36i squared. Then you end up with something like this. Group the like terms or collect the like terms. Now those two will cancel. Then you have 60 minus, remember I square is minus 1. Minus 1 by negative 36 is just going to be positive 36. So you'll end up with 36 plus 16. 16 plus 36. Now you see I got rid of the imaginary part in the denominator. So that's the whole point where we multiply by the conjugate. And then in the numerator you collect the like terms. I square is minus 1. So you have minus 1 by positive 18. That's just going to be minus 18. Then you have 8 minus 18, which is just going to be minus 10. And you have minus 12i minus 12i. That's just going to be minus 24i. And then what's 16 plus 36? Let me see. 36 and 16. this will give you 12. You carry 1, 1 plus 3, that's 4, plus 1, that's 5. Okay, so you end up dividing by 52. So you have minus 10 minus 24i divided by 52. So you'll end up with well, what's 10 divided by 52? 10 divided by 52, here we can divide everything by 2, then you'll have minus 5 divided by, what's 52 divided by 2? That's 26. So then you have 24 divided by 52. Is 52 divisible by 4? I think so. Yeah, it is divisible by 4. So, okay. So we have minus, what's 24 divided by 4? 24 divided by 4, that's going to be 6. And what's 52 divided by 4? Okay, 52 divided by 4. 52 divided by 4. 5 divide, there's only one 4 in 5. So you'll carry 4 and you subtract, and then you'll have 12. And what's 12 divided by 4? That's just going to be 3. So I get 13. 18i. So that will be the answer you get when you divide this. That will be the answer you get when you divide this. So similarly, you can do this one with the conjugates, number 7. So let's divide the conjugates. Remember z1 and z2. Now z1 over z2 conjugate. That will just be 2 plus 3i. Remember, you just swap the sign, right? And then z2 will be, z2 conjugate will be 4 minus 6i. And similarly just do the same procedure like that. You multiply by the conjugate, right? So how you solve this is you're going to say this is the same as 2 plus 3i multiplied by 4 plus 6i. That's the conjugate of the denominator. Divide by 4 minus 6i into 4 minus 6i, 4 plus 6i, I mean. Then you just do the same procedure as I showed you, right? Then you'll get the answer to this one. Now, z1 over z2 conjugate. This will be the same as, remember z1 is 2 minus 3i. 2 minus 3i. And now what's the conjugate of z2? Will be 4 minus 6i. 4 minus 6i. And then while you solve this, you're going to say 2 minus 3i over 4 minus 6i. Then you multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. Then that will be 4 plus 6i into 4 plus 6i. So that will be z1 over z2 conjugate. So you just do the same procedures I showed you. So you basically see that complex numbers are not that really complicated. Just apply the same math. Just apply the same math. It's not that hard. You should get total on this. And hopefully I hope that you this video made you understand something on this. That you should be able to like get 100 on complex numbers. Okay, so now if you have any questions you can ask. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe.